So here it is. Here it comes. I watched it earlier. In my area, it ended up coming on at 3 a.m. instead of 12 p.m. like they originally said, which was kind of annoying. And if you are a Teela fan, then this show is serving you right. But if you are a He-Man and the Masters of the Universe fan, or Man of Arms fan, or any other character that's not a female, you're going to be a little disappointed. Or if you're a critic, because all you critics are nothing more than shills and shouldn't be even doing this half the time, because all you guys ever do is praise the mob. Now, some people are saying this hinting. I'm going to say from my personal opinion of watching this show, I did not see any queer baiting. I didn't get this notion that Teela liked girls. As a matter of fact, Evelyn was came at by Teela. Oh, by the way, this is spoilers, so just give me a heads up. Evelyn was like, or Teela was like to Evelyn, hey, not all of us got Skeletors in their closet. And the Evelyn made a reference like, yeah, like some of us don't carry old flames for dudes, muscle dudes and stuff. So they're hinting back to the Teela Adam thing. I don't see what people are talking about when they're saying that there's a female attraction and Adam seemed to be attracted to guys. I didn't see it. Mainly because, first off, Adam wasn't in the show long enough to have that. And Teela seemed like it was more of a buddy-buddy situation with her and her friend. So, the show is nice looking. I still think the 2000 one looks better. And by a lot. But I think this wasn't bad in my personal opinion. I thought it was a nice update from the original. I really wish I was able to get my hands on that 30th anniversary one that had the original He-Man series, the New Adventures of He-Man, that I gained a lot more respect for later as I got a little older, and the great 2000 series. But we'll see. Right now it's pretty high out there, so, I have to check. Maybe I do have the He-Man series. I don't know. Anywho, like I said, the show looks nice, but if I sit a cake in front of you and it's a chocolate cake, and it looks like a really good chocolate cake, and then you take a bite out of it and it's just made of mud, is it still a good chocolate cake? So, basically, when it came to He-Man and Prince Adam, they John Connored him. They Terminator woke fate him. And it's like, good job, guys. You didn't learn anything, and you never seem to learn anything. The sad part was the first episode was actually pretty good. I was like, okay, maybe I am for a good ride. On that first episode, all the way till about the last 5 minutes, I was like, this is where it's going to become the Teela show. And it was a good setup for the story. And the story split into two, as I've seen it before in a couple other iterations. And, Skeletor, He-Man apparently die. Now they have to go to Subternia and I think it's Prototonia or Preternia. I've had a very long day. I think it's Preternia, which is heaven, and Subternia, of course, is like hell, because that's how the swords do, because the sword, it became the beacon of all the magic, and it's like the key, and he hits the thing, and then the ball of magic all starts to get screwy and wooey and looey. And of course, Teela sees that Prince Adam is He-Man and that Cringer is Battle Cat. So she flips out. The mom makes a hint, which they've done that before, where the mom actually has an idea that He-Man is probably Prince Adam. But she flips out, which I don't even think is not wrong. I mean, all the people in the room who she trusted never told her that Prince Adam was He-Man, and His dad has an outburst when he finds out that Adam is gone because the mom informs him, and he's like, "You didn't even tell me." And he's my best friend. Nobody told me or trusted me with the secret. And Man at Arms got disgraced, and it's kind of like that whole thing. And she became the new Man of Arms, which there has been multiple stories. There's been a few stories I've seen where she gets promoted to Man of Arms, because it's not. Because some people are like, why did she call it Woman at Arms? I think it's more of a station. That's just the name of the station. But okay. And also the way today is nowadays, they want women to be called men, like the whole weird thing with Valkyrie being the king of Asgard, which I'm like, no, she's the queen. Words have meanings. Stop trying to change everything. Queen is a female ruler, king is a male ruler. Stop it. Anyway, you get this whole thing. Oh, and also too, the dad had like no clue whatsoever. It's which also said a lot, because it's like, sure. Anyway, this is going to be more of me giving my random thoughts. So just bear with me, because as things come to my brain, that's how I'm going to spew them out. So, of course, the most important He-Man ever, Grayskull. He-Man's ancestor had to be a black guy. Because they were like, well, we wanted to promote black people because, instead of upgrade, showing up Claptrap or stepping up any of the other characters or doing that now, we're just going to race swap this one, and we're going to race swap another, and instead of making just a brand new character, which you could have totally did and still had Grayskull and still made it effective, but sure. But you made it the most important, which is funny because they're like, well, people don't know Grayskull. No, they're a fan. If you're a fan of the series, yes, you do. You have an idea who Grayskull is. And why everything is surrounded by Grayskull. Yes, you do. You watch 2000 series, you know who Grayskull is. You read comics, you know enough of them, you know who Grayskull is. But hand-me-downs are so much better than original characters. Remember that. Because these people who aren't in those groups that they're trying to represent are trying to tell you what's good. Instead of making a new character, which would have been very interesting if they would have just made up a new character. Or use the current one. I also find it funny that in heaven, and I know they were trying to make it seem like it was a noble thing, because instead of Adam being his He-Man form, he was just Adam, the weak form, which would have been fine if he was still capable. But he fell in the mud. And then they had some kind of competition for the wild hunt, where if it wasn't for Teela, he would have went down. They had to team up. He needed her help a lot because, Teela's great. Teela's amazing. It's Teela, Teela, Teela all day, every day, Teela. So she, of course, goes to Grayskull, and she can't speak, but Adam couldn't even hardly make it there. I'm like, y'all could have at least made him capable, but now he's just a simp. Because Teela wins the competition. And that's pretty much the series in a nutshell. Prince Adam decides to come back, where they're saying it's hard to get into paradise, because when you're basically one of the that's your reward, is to go to paradise and be there. But it might be difficult because you're going back, because you're technically defying a thing, even though you're dead. And then because he couldn't say he had the power fast enough, he gets stabbed, and then he makes Skella God. Which, this isn't even the first time I think they did a Skella God. I think I have a comic or something with one of the Masters of the Universe where it was like a reboot. It might have been DC one. They've had a couple. I think it's one of the DC ones where Skeletor gets his hand on the sword. But in this one, he's called Skella God. And now, hurt, possibly dead Adam, because Kevin Smith apparently reveled in the idea of taking down He-Man twice, because, that's what's hot, right? Take down the super awesome character that everyone loves. That's what's hot right now. And, Teela will probably do the Teela takeover, and I wonder if they're going to tell Teela that her mom is the sorceress. Okay, so, in this thing, you do see a moment where she's fighting, what was his name? Scarebo? I can't remember his name all of a sudden. Scareglow. Jeez. And I just got that character recently too. Scareglow is a pretty interesting character. He's kind of powerful. He reminds you of Skeletor in a lot of ways, but he's not. But yeah. Close enough though. He's still an interesting character. Probably some people who don't know the lore thought that was just a dead a Skeletor. He's not. They just have a very similar look and a very similar style, which is probably why they use Scareglow the way they do. But the toys of Scareglow always glow in the dark. Even the little mini joint I have, it glows in the dark. That's one of the cool things about him. Now, little TLDR. If you go by the toy line, Sorceress was also called Goddess at one time. She had a Cobra style look. And if I remember correctly, in the mini comic and the toy, her skin was green. They used the same mold to make Teela. So they had this one character named the Warrior Woman Teela. And in the old comics, she was a Skeletor clone creation of the Sorceress, because she was called God for a while and then called Sorceress, but because he used some of her essence or blood or something, technically it made them kin, like a biological link between them. And then because of the Sorceress, she became known as Teela Na, and the other one became known as Teela, of course. Now, she knows, if you go by that one, that she's supposed to marry King He-Man. She's supposed to become the new Sorceress at some point, and they have a son named Dare. Now, if you go by the old cartoon, she gave Duncan her child, saying that basically, in order to become the Sorceress and to keep her daughter safe, to go with the Man-at-Arms, which in turn made Teela a fighter in the army. So I was like, really? Was she that much different? I do know, I think it was the 2000 series, and I think one of the comics also indicates that Man-at-Arms and the Sorceress have a thing for each other, which they did play it up a little bit in this show, a little tiny bit. They have a thing for each other. Now, I do know in this original show, at one point she did find out that her mom was the Sorceress, and then they erased her memory because she went to the oracles, and then the oracle told the Sorceress that Teela is going to be the next Sorceress, and it's supposed to take her place. Now, if they do that for this series, I think that will be better, but we'll have to see. Because they had that little hint that she had that power inside of her, because Scareglow was like, what are you? And she kind of showed a little bit of the bird thing. Now, if that becomes the case and they go with the storyline that her and Adam do get married and they have their kid, then, you know, the show is at least salvaged from where it is. But got a feeling that with part 2 having Skelegod in it, because he wants to be that guy, he's going to take over, probably take down the king and queen. And then like I said, if Teela becomes a Sorceress after taking down the evil and marries King He-Man, that to me will at least work. But I highly doubt it. It'll probably be Adam becomes the king and Teela becomes the new She-Man. Because, you know, He-Man did no stepping aside in this series whatsoever. He just was knocked out the box immediately. Yo, if she gets the Sword of Power, do you think she's going to look like the Hulk? Or She-Hulk? You know, the one that looks like a man. And because they have this obsession with whatever the male gaze, instead of just making things the proper way and stop trying to make everything a political argument. Yeah, she's probably going to turn around and probably be like, She-Ma'am, I've always had the power. So, a thought was, then when they were saying something, a thought came to my head as I'm watching this. Why does this have to be for everybody? But She-Ra was made for girls. The new She-Ra was a girl show, but you're supposed to like it, but it was mainly for the girls. But when the boys get their thing, it has to be for everybody. Like, what's up with that? And I'm not saying that the show can't be enjoyed by everybody. It's just that's the gear they're trying to go. So it's apparently guys can't have heroes anymore. Like, why is it every time I'm watching something, the hero has to step aside? I still have this feeling that in the new Blade movie, he's going to eventually step aside for his daughter because it keeps coming up. Like, what? Why can't we have the muscle-bound badass anymore? You know, the Commandos, the Rambos, the Dutch from Predator, Conan. It's like we always have to subvert it into the woman comes in, the woman is super angry, beats on her chest, or like Teela. The whole time Teela's angry and she's like, oh, she's scared. I'm like, well, how is she scared if she's angry, Cringer? Like, because she's mad that no one told her, but she's scared. It was weird how they convinced her to do it. But it's like, I'm tired of, we always have to take down the men to raise the women because men suck. Instead of it being, it could have even been cool if He-Man, if first off they would have just been straight up about it, and then He-Man would have did something and said, hey, I have to hold on to this or do something. Teela, I need you to do this. It's me, Prince Adam, and I need you to do this. And then you put Teela on a journey to do it. Like, if they would have been forthcoming with this, I think I would have been more accepting of some of this stuff. Not saying everything's perfect. Some people are like, it's trash. It's down there. The story was plodding along, but because of how it just all came out, it just made it like, eh. Like, I mean, I'll give it some positive. I liked Orko's thing. I thought that was cool. I figured he was going to do something, but I mean, I thought that was cool. That he had a moment, at least. Unlike Black Widow, where the male character was just a bumbling idiot the entire time, and the other one was just a pastiche for a woman. Even though it was a man the entire time, you could just use the guy, and actually made him Taskmaster and not some quiet cyborg person. Because you could clearly see it was a man. Or you could have just went all the way and used a female and had a female there and just been a female the whole time. But, you know, they were trying to surprise you with a twist. Some of Man-at-Arms scenes were cool. The problem is that everything I can look at in this and go, well, that was cool. The 2001 just did it better. That's the problem. They had the better series already. And it was also funny that watching this series, every time a guy showed up, it was like he was apologizing or doing something abound. Like, it was like, you know, Man-at-Arms bent down. Cringer was like, we need you, we need you, we need you, we need you. You had Beastman that was simping to Evelyn hard as heck. Mossman, who was one of the coolest characters because he was like their own version of Swamp Thing, got wiped out in seconds. And it's just like every time there was a male character, a female character outshone them. Even the robot dude with with what's the name that they switched to make her black, and Antica, whatever. She had cool shurikens, sure. And they had this like machine thing going on, and I was like, oh, you could actually play this up. Maybe this is the villain. No. That was just a thing so you could just have some fodder. All right, cool. Normally I really do try to have something stand on its own for what it is. But because of the bait and switch, and I was told one thing and I was given another, and this is not even about the thing of what Kevin Smith did. Let's take that aside. The trailer, I'm going to go off as if I never heard a leak or anything and I seen the trailer. The trailer, because I only watched the first one, that trailer told me this was He-Man and it was all going to be about He-Man. Then I go and watch this and all I get is Teela. And you John Connor him. So, my ended up rating is, because there were some okay things in there, I will be fair, that I thought, like I said, I actually did like Orko's story. I was a little annoyed about how Evelyn and Beastman fell back in line. after Skeletor just came back after she did this whole thing about how she wants to chase her own ambition, and I'm hoping that she kind of is going to play him later, or they're going to play that up later, because that kind of annoyed me, especially with like Beastman and them, and they go on this big journey and they're saving everything. It just kind of, and she was even shocked, and it was like, y'all built this character just to go back, so all right, sure. So I'm guessing that something's going to change with that. But like I said, Man at Arms is cool, but I've always liked Man at Arms. But comparatively, this Man at Arms, he had some cool gear and did some stuff, but I like the 2001 better. I know I keep repeating myself. The 2001 is great. You should watch it. One day I'll review it. So maybe this weekend. I don't know. So basically, in closing, my rating is, this is a sinking ship. We'll see because I can't give it a full rating yet, because we still have part 2. So let's see if they can dig themselves out of the hole, and that's why I'm giving it a sinking ship. Because if this was season 1, or if this was the whole entire thing, it's almost trash. But and I would have called it trash, but because there's a second half, and if it all comes and ties together, I highly doubt it. But let's say it ties together and I really end up liking where it ended up, and I'm like, okay, out of the 10 episodes, it brought itself here, but now watching it or looking at it from a whole spectrum, it's good. We'll do it. So for right now, temporarily placeholder, probably not going to be, I'm going to put this as a sinking ship. I'm very disappointed in what they showed. I'm very disappointed that they did not acknowledge the 2001. Yet, a lot of He-Man's look is from the Masters of the Universe Origins one. Like even the bracers. If you go back and look, and I did a video where I did use the other one. If you go, and sometimes I'll throw it in here. If you look, yeah. So you guys tell me what you think. Geek Protagonists, you stay safe, you stay healthy, you stay real. And I'll see ya.